Okay, people, this has to stop. I can't spend every October complaining about crappy Silent Hill comics. I think it gets a little boring after a while, since it keeps boiling down to the same problem again and again. Scott Cienson doesn't know jack about Silent Hill. Let's review, shall we? 2 years ago, we examined Silent Hill Dying Inside. 2 issues of that were devoted to introducing the character of Troy Abernathy, who died and became a servant of the town. His overall purpose to the story was, in the end, completely meaningless. The other 3 issues of the miniseries looked at Lauren, a jackass who got her friends killed so she could have zombie minions to face off against her deceased sister Christabella, who had become a demon or something, and there was this guy named Whatley, who was apparently important and one of the original town founders or something like that, and it ended with Lauren somehow gaining control over Silent Hill. Its direct sequel we looked at last year, Silent Hill Dead Alive, about how Whatley is apparently trying to spread the evil of Silent Hill to the entire world by screwing around with an actor and trying to make him into a serial killer. Christabella was supposed to be turning good or something, Lauren executed a bizarre gambit that made no sense, and the whole thing ended by summoning a goddess or something that shifted everybody into parallel dimensions. That's actually a good alternate title for these stories. Or Something, the comics. They're sure as hell not Silent Hill stories, and what's more, they're not very good horror stories. They had terrible pacing, nonsensical plot points, and a backstory confusingly weaved into it that is never explicitly explained or detailed enough for us to get into it. The artwork is atrocious, and often I found myself needing to read expository sections at the beginnings of each individual comic to try to untangle what was going on. However, in between Dying Inside and Dead Alive, Scott Cienson wrote 3 Silent Hill one-shots, and this month we're going to take a look at all 3 and see if maybe, just maybe, he can pull something interesting out of all this. So let's start things off with Silent Hill Paint It Black. Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Robots, Amazon and trucks, Linkara. This comic sucks, Linkara. A letter to my future self. Am I still happy I began? Have I grown? Let's get the good news out of the way first. These one-shots have none of the main characters of Dying Inside and Dead Alive. While they do take place within Scott Cienson's warped little screwy horror universe, there's no Christabella, no Lauren, and no Troy. Whatley is apparently a factor in 1 or 2 of these, but hey, maybe we'll actually learn why the hell he's supposed to be important in these proceedings when the most he ever did was have a kinda sorta battle with Lauren in Dead Alive. We're reading this first one from a trade collection that has the 3 stories in it, and it's called Silent Hill 3 Bloody Tales. Not that the tales contain copious amounts of blood, it's just British slang. 3 bloody tales! We're starting with Paint It Black because it's the story that features the character Ike Isaacs, Lauren's boyfriend that we saw from Dead Alive. He was a painter who thought that Silent Hill would be the perfect place to act like a walking action movie cliché. He was completely out of place in that story, stealing lines from Bruce Campbell and just generally getting on my nerves. Some people have stated that they want me to look at the covers of a book even if I'm reading them out of a trade. As I've explained, the reason why I generally don't when I'm reviewing from a trade is because the cover of a comic is meant to entice a reader to pick it up from a rack of other comics, which isn't a factor for a trade paperback. If you're not actively seeking out the trade, then you usually will only see a trade when it's on a bookshelf and only the spine is facing out. Thus, the cover for a trade is usually fairly worthless in terms of enticing readers, like a single issue's cover is. Well, I do try to give the people what they want, so let's take a look at Paint It Black's cover, shall we? There, behold the cover to Paint It Black. The same grimy art style as most of these comics, and Ike Isaacs is just standing there in front of a painting of a guy being crucified upside down and missing his legs. Maybe he's being eaten alive. I can't tell because it's so poorly drawn. Oh, and let's not forget the diverse amount of colors on this cover, like brown! Yep, it was certainly a good use of my time to look at this cover. We open to a painting of a naked woman aiming her arm up into the sky and shooting a blast of energy out from it. Or maybe it's the Eye of Sauron, I can't tell. It's crap. Hey, let's not be too hasty here. This painting might actually be the first thing in any of these comics that I'm slightly interested in. It turns out the person who's calling it crap is Ike himself. I mean, it's alright, it's okay. There's a big difference between it's okay and it's crap. Be consistent! I'm just not feeling it, like something's missing and I just... Asshole! Hey, someone who didn't like Dead Alive either. Is there a problem, Joe? Jesus, Ike, all you ever think about is yourself. I let you crash here because I figured you didn't have anywhere else to go. You just needed some time to get your shit together. And for months you've just been sitting around, eating my food, not trying to get a job. Now I find out you've done this with everyone. Ike, you're a f***ing leech. Wow, so far this is my favorite of Scott Jensen's Silent Hill comics. There was a legitimately interesting painting, and we've got a likable character in the form of Joe here. What do you want me to do? Get a job! Way harsh, yo. You're a waste of space, yo. So Joe kicks him out, becoming the first person in any of these comics to do something that makes sense. And naturally, we never see him again. Farewell, Joe. You were loved. After Ike fails to get anyone else to take his worthless ass in, though he at least offers to cook and do laundry for the other person, but knowing him so far, he'd probably screw that up royally. He wanders the streets with all his possessions and swearing a whole bunch. He goes into a subway station next to a guy who has candles and tattoos and asks about the guy's tattoo for Wraith Slayer. Best band ever. Never heard of them? Music today is crap. Don't know where it's at. I bring up this dialogue not to make a joke, but rather to point out that the next panel has the guy screaming, "Ah, no, please, all over me, they're everywhere!" Poor guy, he's imagining Justin Bieber fangirls attacking. So what's up with that? Did he fall asleep between panels or something? Ike asks if it was a bad dream, and the guy says he was actually there in Silent Hill. Shadows. Shadows are alive in Silent Hill. Ah, foreshadowing for the inevitable Silent Hill and Babylon 5 crossover. No one lives there anymore. After all, if nobody was living there anymore, why oh why wouldn't the town be bulldozed by now? But there's still power and the supermarkets are stocked with food. The bad news is that it's all food from Hardee's. He talks about how he just barely managed to escape the town, but his friend Phil sacrificed himself to let him escape. What is it with this comic and showing us minor characters who are more interesting and likable than Ike? Whatever you do, don't go there! And we cut to Ike traveling to Silent Hill, despite being given no directions or knowledge of how to get there. Oh, and before you think he was drawn there because the town called to him supernaturally, or maybe he'd be in search of a lost love or something, Ike proclaims, "You had me at food." Yes, our hero had the ingenious idea of going to Silent Hill because he's a lazy artiste type who refuses to get a job and thus has decided that his best bet is to go to a place that someone ominously gave him a warning about and mentioned how their friend died there by man-eating rats. You know, at least when Lauren went to Silent Hill, she did it because she was motivated by love and guilt over her dead sister. This comics hero is truly a complete douchebag. And before anyone suggests that maybe he'll undergo a character arc where he'll change and become better as a result of his experiences, I'd just like to remind you that we've read Dead Alive, and we know that won't happen! Ike enters Silent Hill and forgets to save his game while he's at it. Look, the symbol's right there. Now we have to endure the opening again if he dies. And proclaims, "This place is awesome!" Ike, why do I get the feeling that if I shot you in the head, the bullet would miss your brain entirely because it's so tiny? Ike sees the monsters all around him and takes inspiration from them, painting his heart away. According to his dialogue, he stays there for at least 2 weeks and is virtually ignored by the monsters. In fact, the monsters start actively assisting him, handing him his brush and posing in various manners to give him inspiration. Later, he spots a group of people all wearing yellow raincoats running around the streets and screaming in horror. He tries to tell them not to run since the monsters aren't bad, just different, and the people are all slaughtered by the monsters. They're seriously PMSing. Fantastic! Ike is a sociopath on top of everything else. No wonder he ended up getting together with Lauren. Well, okay, I'm being a little harsh. When the monsters want him to paint the dead bodies, he realizes something's up. However, it's not out of empathy for the poor people who were just killed, but rather because he doesn't want to die. The selfishness does piss me off a bit, but he could just be in shock. Oh, and it turns out he's there for 6 months. Time transitions? What are those? Durr! He gets magazines in his mail. Who the hell's delivering the mail? That say that he's considered an all-out genius for his artwork and that he's famous for the paintings. Well, there's no accounting for taste, but this is what finally inspires him to leave. He rambles to himself about how he'll be rich and living the high life. Oh, goody, we have character consistency. He's so into his artwork that he can't get a regular friggin' job, but once he has fame, screw the art. Live in the best hotels, order room service all the time, gourmet pizza with fresh veggies, go to the Bahamas, man, be chillin' with the honeys down there. Live the dream, Ike. However, his attempts to leave are thwarted when, as he attempts to leave the town, he finds himself right back in the center of it. Repeated attempts just cause the same thing, and none of the cars in the town will turn on. And thus we cut to another 6 months later. No narrative captions telling us that, it's Ike saying that he's been there for a year now. However, as he's talking to himself, a woman suddenly shows up and asks him if he's in charge. In addition, there's like 36 more people who are also there and are all clones. Some of the red-headed variety, some of the white-haired, I assume supposed to be blonde variety, and all of them really pale and white. I'm Cheryl.
Daddy, where are you?
Cheryl! No, not that Cheryl. Remember, these have nothing to do with the games other than the name of the series and a monster list. But hey, maybe we'll have a likable hero finally. I'm Cheryl, Bengals team captain. Our bus ran over something outside of town and broke an axle. Weird looking thing, but it's sandwich meat now, whatever it was. Or she could be vapid, uninteresting, and unempathetic. I miss Joe. Ike, knowing what'll happen when there are people around, panics and runs back into his building. He locks the door and tells himself he hasn't seen anything and takes a nap. You know, I wouldn't mind this as much if he was only starting to be like this now, after a year alone with no one to talk to but monsters who want him to paint horrific imagery, but he's been a dick like this the entire time, so I don't even care. Oh, and just to really ramp up the stupid, the girls, who are all cheerleaders, start practicing. We have a state championship in front of us, and just because we've hit a little bump in the road does not mean we stop practicing. Yes, it does! You're stranded without any means of contact in what appears to be an abandoned city. You don't seem to have any supervision, making me wonder what happened to the bus driver, and the only person you've encountered is someone who screams and runs when he sees you. This means stop practicing! Also, I'm starting to think Scott Cienson doesn't know anything about cheerleading either. Asses and elbows, ladies. Move it. Work it. Now, Yeah, emphasize the W. That's the letter that's stretched when people hold a word. And yeah, no specific moves, just asses and elbows, because those are the only things used in cheerleading, right? Well, I admit I don't know anything about cheerleading either, so maybe this is the sort of thing that happens with cheerleaders. Then again, even if I did know cheerleading moves, I probably wouldn't include them in a horror story about an evil friggin' town! Okay? Believe it or not, we're not even halfway into this, and this is where it starts getting stupid. Oh yeah, Ike the selfish dickhead? That isn't the dumbest thing about this comic. The cheerleaders finally stop screaming things, and Ike looks out, shocked to see that they haven't been taken yet. Cheryl somehow manages to pick the lock on Ike's place. Hope you didn't mind. Oh yeah, I'm sure he doesn't mind you breaking and entering his place at all. Go die in a fire. She asks what's up with the town since there's electricity and everything, but every attempt to call outside the town or get a car working fails. State trooper comes by every couple of days. Probably be here tomorrow. What? Are you friggin' kidding me? Is Ike serious? A state trooper comes into the town every few days? Why the hell aren't they ever attacked? If it's a regular visit, does he ever interact with Ike? If he does, why doesn't he ever kick him out for living in a building that is clearly not his? If he doesn't interact, why was Ike so shocked to see the cheerleaders in the town as if he hasn't seen regular people for a while? And if the monsters aren't attacking the state trooper, why would you then be so shocked to see the cheerleaders still alive? And oh no, this is not the dumb I was talking about. Yes, it gets worse. Cheryl says the cheerleaders will stay the night. Bored now. Place is gloomy. What a dump. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? You know it. Chrissy and Missy Project!
This is my new imaginary warning light. Whenever it starts blinking, a situation has 10 seconds to resolve itself before I flash white with rage and kill someone. 1, 2...
We gotta get some color in here. I think a nice potpourri to get rid of the smell.
7, 8, 9...
Oh yes, somehow in the span of 2 seconds, these cheerleaders have put up balloons, curtains, and generally redecorated Ike's living space with pink everywhere. Where the hell did they get all this crap? Why do they not care about their bus crashing? And these aren't demons either. I checked ahead. These are actual people according to the comic. These are not Ike's hallucinations. What you are seeing is happening. Trust us, we've done this before and it's for the best. You've gone into other people's homes without permission and redecorated? You're a bunch of assholes. You washed my clothes? These aren't my boxers. These move. Oh, nice. Not content with ripping off Evil Dead, now you're ripping off Red Dwarf.
No way are these my boxer shorts. These bend?
Oh, dear Lord, how I wish I was watching Red Dwarf right now. You know, Lister may have been a lazy bum, but at least he had a good heart. At least he cared about other people and other living beings. At least his character changed and developed, and at least Red Dwarf was a comedy. This is... I don't even know what the hell this is. What did I do to deserve this? And then it flashes back to Joe telling him off. Subtle! See, Ike, what goes around comes around. You invaded other people's space, and now we're invading yours. Even more subtle! And inaccurate! With Joe, he had invited Ike into his home, and Ike had taken advantage over a long period of time. You're a bunch of cheerleaders who went into his space without his permission and are screwing things up in record time. This isn't the same thing at all. And since I'm just your deranged fantasy version of the real Cheryl, I can say that and get away with it. What does that even mean? That has nothing to do with anything. Screw it. We need to move on. There's more dumb to come. When Ike finally yells at them to leave, they knock him out and drag him into a closet or something and lock him in. Oh, fantastic. Way to make me not care even more. A few hours later, Cheryl brings him some soup. Thought you might be hungry. Don't try anything. I know 7 schools of hand-to-hand combat, and I have a baseball bat. 7 schools of hand-to-hand combat. Fine. Ike tries to warn them that the things in the paintings are real and they'll kill them all. I don't know why he cares all of a sudden, but Cheryl doesn't believe him, and more time passes, with Ike wondering what's taking the monsters so long. Me too. Finally, Cheryl lets him out, and now she's wearing this bizarre getup and has an assault rifle. Wait, what? I went shopping. What's up with the artillery? Dad was a survivalist, crazy bastard, but he taught me everything he knew.
It took him 20 seconds.
Where did you get the guns? Do they come standard with pom-poms now? And yeah, I said guns as in plural. The other girls are all decked out in black military gear now too and have their own guns. Yeah, I can see why they did that in the space of a few hours when all that's happened is that the two redheads, Chrissy and Missy, got taken by a monster. They were having a pillow fight. Negligees. Harmless fun. Have to blow off steam somehow with all the pressure we're under. I take it back. These are not real people. Real people do not do these things. Cheryl says she can just feel that they're still alive, so they have to mount a rescue mission. Yes, trust the empathic powers of Cheryl, survivalist commando cheerleader. She asks him if there are any places where the monsters nest, and he figures the closest is the bowling alley, since they've tried to keep him away from there. The bowling alley. That's where we'll find them. Suit up, ladies. It's time to kick some monster butt.
When will it end? What madness drives her?
Ike comes along with them, apparently by his own choice. You didn't have to do this. It's my job to protect my girls, but you... well, thank you. 1. He's not even carrying a gun. He's a liability, not help. 2. You've done such a great job protecting them so far, dumbass. 3. It is far, far too late to make me like Ike. This is for my folks in case I don't make it. Try and see that they get it, Kay? And it is equally too late to make me like her. I don't care if she dies. Too real. Too stupid! What does that even mean? They reach a parking garage and are attacked by monsters. Yeah, I bet you'd never thought you'd see a bunch of cheerleaders wearing war paint and military gear, with black miniskirts no less. Classy ass shot there, by the way. Wielding machine guns and shooting at monsters in Silent Friggin' Hill! I did not sign up for this!
Too much talking, 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 too much talking.
Anyway, they find a fire truck, which inexplicably works despite everything else not working. At first, it looked like they just found some fire extinguishers, and I thought they were actually going to be clever and get around the whole cars not working thing with those, but no, the fire truck just works. And naturally, going on a commando raid to rescue their friends, they make as much noise as possible as they proceed. They apparently reach the bowling alley and are faked out by a bunch of pyramid heads. At this point, I just don't care about anything. And considering how long this review has been going for, I'm just gonna give one big summary of the last 10 or so pages of this crap. They escape the pyramid heads by Ike painting a hole in the wall. How he knows he can do this is anyone's guess, but I suppose we discovered what happened to that hole that was there that is gone now. He and Cheryl enter some nether dimension full of paintings, and Cheryl asks how he knows he can do this, and he just says he felt like it already existed and just figured out how to get there, aka the writer is friggin' lazy. Apparently Ike's paintings have been causing real people to die or something like that. Again, these Silent Hill comics are horrible at sequential storytelling, having to spell stuff out for us, and even then it doesn't make any sense. Ike tells her to torch the paintings, and that somehow kills the monsters, and they escape into some kind of demonic medical school where demon doctors are dissecting things or something, and they find the redheads. We actually get the first original monster to ever appear in these comics. Some kind of demonic cyberpunk doctor that, I hate to admit, I actually kind of like. No, seriously, this guy looks like something from Silent Hill. He talks, but he isn't annoying like Christabella, and he's got a unique visual look to him that doesn't make him seem like a Pyramid Head ripoff like the Butcher was. And of course he's completely wasted here. Before he starts dissecting Christy and Missy, Ike goes in to try to stop them. It's a sweet deal y'all set up for me here, yo, it really is, but do you really gotta eat every sorry mofo that comes through here? What a convincing argument, Ike. I'm sure you've won them over with that well-worded soliloquy. Eat your heart out, St. Crispin's Day speech. Yeah, the monsters say they had high hopes for him and just attack and the group tries to retreat. Cheryl hands Ike a gun and tells them to keep them off their back and she'll come back with reinforcements. She and the redheads make it out, and when she learns that two of their fellows didn't make it, she orders them to leave Ike behind and go, despite Ike yelling for them to come back and get him. I'm the captain of this cheerleading team. Leaders have to make tough choices. I'd go into a rant about how leading a cheerleading squad has nothing to do with being in the military, and you're just a jerk since you have guns and could easily go back 10 feet and get him, but I don't care. Like my daddy said before they stormed the cave, you do what you have to survive. What cave? What are you talking about? So the cheerleaders leave, somehow managing to escape the town in their fire truck. It's hinted that the two redheads are demons now, but I don't know why we're supposed to give a damn. This comic sucks! I mean, wow, this thing is awful. What's really sad about this is that this could have easily been turned into a good Silent Hill comic. The games have used paintings before to great effect, in particular the original painting of Pyramid Head. Artwork, paintings, drawings, art galleries, they have such potential for horror, from disturbing imagery to just screwing with your head, but the painting aspect barely has anything to do with this story. We know why the monsters wanted him to paint this stuff. It was to set up Dead Alive. Once again, even if we ignore that it has nothing to do with Silent Hill, it's not scary. The characters all are dreadful, unlikable, truly ugly people. No one acts like a human being, except for Joe, who was in all of 2 pages. There's no moral redemption for anyone. The cheerleaders don't even care that members of their squad have died. They pull stuff out of their asses, and nothing is accomplished. The only saving grace is a single, original monster that I want to know more about, and naturally is never seen or brought up in any of the other Silent Hill comics. This is, in fact, worse than Dead Alive. At least Dead Alive tried to be horror, tried to have believable characters, and Ike was just a leftover from this nonsense. It failed, yes, but it tried to be something. This was 48 pages of nothing! And there are still 2 more of these to go, people. Can Scott Siensen do even worse? Or could he actually pull something interesting out of his ass? Well, tune in next week to find out. It's begun.
Well, people have been waiting very patiently, and I think finally it's time for me to unveil Warrior number 4. And finally we can get... What the hell is that noise?